week in, week out, we try to find out and talk to key players in that industry. Those who are playing in the renewables, if you know what I'm talking about. And we've spoken to a cross section of experts and key players in that industry in the past 3 years or thereabout on the show. Today, we have yet another episode, and we have yet another guest to join us. First, let me give you the focus for today and then bring my co-host, and then we get to listen to a guest. My name is Collins. Take care. I'll be joined as a co-host today by the communications officer of Olon. They're talking about the man Wisdom Chap Jumbo, who, of course, you know, got married recently, and yeah, he's here again as my co-host on the show. Wisdom, how are you?
I'm good. I'm fine. I've not seen you in about a month.
Yeah, that's right. That's
yes,
right.
Yes.
The last time was virtual, and then but I see you on social media. So
okay, I'm everywhere.
Absolutely. So if you're joining on, stay tuned because we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. That way you can also, view our faces and check out the jackets. Because our guest has got yet an amazing one on, so you can check that out also. But before we bring our guest, the topic for today's focus is challenges of transforming Nigeria's power sector. Challenges of transforming Nigeria's power sector. And Wisdom will do the honors to bring the guest on today.
Okay, great. Thanks, Collins, for that. So today our guest is a lawyer, is a legal practitioner, and I always wonder why is he talking power? His name is Hussein O. Tijani. He's principal partner at HOT Legal Practitioners and is legal advisor of Event Hive, organizers of Nigeria Power Outlook 2022.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm proud to be here.
Good to have you on the show.
Good to be here too.
Fantastic.
I can't wait to push my first question to you. As a lawyer, discussing power, how did that happen?
Yes.
Tell us about your professional journey and why your interest in power.
Okay, I think I'll first start with a quote by Nelson Mandela. He said, "Every now and then, a generation is called to be great. You can be that generation."
Okay.
So, taking a cue from that, you say, aside from law, you say one is able to look at the system, the Nigerian ecosystem, and say that what is a perennial problem, what's the constant problem. And I feel the constant problem we have is issue of power.
Okay.
I personally hold the opinion that if we can solve the issue of power, about 80%, if not 90% of Nigeria's troubles will have been resolved. Because with power connects with virtually every factor or facet of the Nigerian economy.
That's true.
Do you understand? So that's what drives the interest. It drives the interest towards policy and also drives the interest towards actionable plans towards making it a reality.
That's true. Powerful words.
About 2 years ago, Nigeria Power Outlook was launched.
Yes.
What exactly was the aim of this event at the beginning?
Yes, thank you. The aim of the event at the beginning was to provide a platform where we have the industry stakeholders and we also have industry participants come and have discussions that will shape the future of the Nigerian power sector, and most importantly also provide the industry participants with an opportunity to showcase their power solutions to the industry stakeholders and also to the Nigerian public.
Great one. And Collins, it's good to know that this year's event was proudly sponsored by Olon.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, it was proudly sponsored by Olon, and we are happy with the progress they are making with the event and sort of the conversations they've been having. And the reason why we thought it wise to say, you know what, we have been at least like 2 years of the event twice.
That's
we have spoken there, and we thought this year it would be a strategic one to sort of sponsor and encourage sort of this kind of conversations to go on. So congratulations to Event Hive and for the success of that event.
Let me put it this way: where power is, all on is.
Wherever
there's power is involved, all on is got to be involved in it.
Whatever conversation will create more energy access or
absolutely.
All of this there. So now, some experts say Nigeria is miles away from the projected strength of power generation and distribution. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
Why?
I agree in the sense that looking at the industry holistically, I mean, we have power that is being generated by GenCos that are due to aggregated losses. The eventual power that is being transmitted is mild. It doesn't meet what is being produced. Then aside from that also too, we have a populace where either due to bad policies, bad decisions, not everyone is having that constant power supply. I mean, what drives the privatization, the zeal as to the joy of we saying finally we could have steady power, so far has not been achieved since 2013, which calls to questions like, I feel we need to have an in-depth and frank talk with ourselves. That's what I'm talking in terms of policy and in terms of the actual players. We actually have to have that frank talk. There has been a disconnect with the aim for privatization and what we are seeing now. And we are 8 years after. I mean,
but what was the aim in the beginning?
I think the aim in the beginning was to resolve the power deficiency and for once be able to bridge that gap between power produced and the end users getting that power.
Okay.
You know, it's appalling to think that I can't remember if Nigeria has ever even generated up to 6,000 megawatts ever. I think we play around 5,000 and thereabout.
Yes, even though we have installed about 13,
as it were.
Yeah.
But South Africa, for example, generates an average of almost 60,000 megawatts. Currently about 58,000 megawatts of electricity, and South Africa doesn't have a population. I mean, sometimes you look at these things, you check some other countries and what they're doing, you just wonder, when are we going to get there? But the good thing here is that, the off-grid sector is stepping up to the challenge.
Exactly.
Bringing solutions here and there to ensure that we can address this problem, because I believe that one of Nigeria's biggest challenge ever, irrespective of all the challenges that we have, is the power.
Electricity.
That's what it is. And most Nigerians will agree to it. Like you said, there's power in everything.
Yes.
So let's get back to the outlook. Let's talk about Nigerian Power Outlook events, that led key discussions on challenges of transforming the Nigerian power sector landscape. What would you say stands out the most for you in all the challenges as it concerns power?
Yes, thank you. I think what stands out largely is the interest in expanding the scope of the conversation into much more of renewable energy, as it largely justifies conversations around energy transition. I mean, the event and our platform furthers the opportunity for we to have further discussions into shaping the electrical space, the power sector space. Yes.
And this has gone on for the last 2 years since you have had the program.
Yes. We also further discussions in other sectors too, but for power, yes.
For power, great. Okay, so now this year event, we know was held on the 28th of April at the Civic Center. And I mean, Allon is very proud to have supported this event, and we know it was a success. And we had very good, amazing moderators, speakers that came to share their view, and the focus on that conversation was around power for all, looking back, moving forward, what's next. So now for you, what was the major takeaway from that event for you and your team, and truly I want to ask, what is next?
Thank you. That's a two-pronged question.
Yes.
Yes. I think the takeout for me is at that event, at Civic Center, we were able to sort of unbundle the problems that were affecting liquidity in the system.
Okay.
And try to see how we could profile solutions towards resolving that issue. But aside from the fact that the obvious truth or the obvious fact is more needs to be done.
Okay.
But personally, I feel we err more on the side of willpower. When I say willpower in the sense of the government, the policymakers, and also of the industry stakeholders. Okay. So because earlier, your co-host Collins, made mention of the off-grid sector is stepping up to the challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good. The off-grid sector is stepping up to the challenge, but in the NEC Mini Grid Regulation 2016, there's a particular clause there, Section 21 sub 5, which basically says any area where an off-grid personnel or participant is taking place in. Once a disco decides that that area, whether unserved or underserved, falls within my 5-year expansion plan or any of my expansion plan, they can basically just come in and take over. And at that point in time, you as the off-grid operator, you only have two choices, which to me are unfair. First one being, you have to sell to the discos at a rate that NEC will also sort of serve as a middleman.
Okay.
Or you simply, if you refuse to sell, you have to decommission. And we need to look at it in the sense that what is the true aim of privatization to begin with? What is the aim of, we even say we're having a mini grid regulation? Bearing in mind that this mini grid regulation is just coming to sort of formalize what has been happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just didn't have the law. It has been happening. I mean, in 2012, GV basically came in and you know, we had the 55 kilowatts in I think
Iche.
Iche, yes,
Iche local government.
which till date has been providing power to over 600 homes, 24/7. So now it comes to mind, why do we have that particular clause embedded in the mini grid regulation?
But many experts have come on this program to
Yeah.
hail that mini grid regulation to be one of the best
that we have around.
that we have around there. And I mean,
in other countries, even
in other countries. So-
compared to, because I know that one of the biggest successes, we're doing analysis. There's a time we had a number of guests here with Dr. Weber, and we're doing an analysis of, comparing, the policy as far as it comes to policies in this sector,
Yes.
compared to what is obtainable in some other African countries,
including India.
even in India.
In India.
We realize that the Nigerian, policies in Nigeria in this sector are, more flexible and even more empowering, engaging than that. But you're worried about that particular clause, right?
You see, I hold the opinion that the first mistake we make as Nigerians is we compare. We have our own special intricacies. So in comparing, you are really doing yourself a disservice. I mean, when you are comparing yourself with maybe let's say South Africa, they don't have militants blowing up pipes. Do you get? There's no threat to whatever installation you are making.
Yeah.
But looking at that mini grid regulation, I mean, looking at the intricacy of it, bearing in mind that most players, you see, even with the mini grid regulation says basically is of two facets. It says if you are producing within 100 kilowatts to 1 megawatt, you need to register. You have the option of registering. There's no compulsion on you to get a permit. Then if you are producing more than 1 megawatt, you have to get a permit. But interestingly, if you check majority of those that are playing in that sector, in the mini grid sector, their installations are less than 100 kilowatts. So you see, it's like we seeing, there's a law, and you look at it and say, look, if I go and spend money, develop all these things, and the disco just comes in and
pick it up.
I mean,
so that could be the reason why a lot of people are skeptical. They don't want to go big as far as that's concerned.
And we need to encourage people to go big. We need that because it's clear. I mean, the templates for the discos is failing. It's clear.
Why do you think, since you brought this up, why do you think that particular, because I mean, this looks interesting. Why do you think that clause was put there in the first place?
I think to the only
must be a reason.
Yeah, the only explanation that comes to my mind is protection of interest. I mean, these are discos. We say there's privatization since 2013.
Yeah.
But to interest you that 40% of the equity of those discos are owned by government. They only sold about 60%.
Interesting.
So you look at it that, are we really private or we are having a state-owned organization? I mean,
calling it private.
do you get? So I mean, we look at where there's, to my own mind, there are conflict of interest in the lines of the policymakers. Bearing in mind that you also know that these discos, you can't really phase them out of business, because by doing that you're also phasing the government out of business.
Collins.
So I mean, if we don't move away from that particular conversation, it looks like it's a major, because that alone just changes the entire show right now.
I wanted to say we have a lawyer here, so he will look at every area. But
no. Apart from that, I mean, what he mentioned, it's vital. I think it's vital, and maybe not today on the show. Maybe
another time.
Some other time we'll spend more time to look at it, and also get a call on the stakeholders. That question of why. I mean, you said that the reason could be to protect interest.
Yes.
But that we need to dig deep into finding out, if this is serving as a bottleneck to allow the off-grid sector to grow, people to get more interested in it, then it should be taken out. And how can we now start talking about agreeing for it to be out? How do we go about the process of doing it? Why was it put there in the first place? These questions, of course, they're not questions I want to ask you, because of course you wouldn't have answers to them. But alternative access to power, such as the off-grid models, and many experts, say that, like you've mentioned, there's a pathway to recovery in the sector. You mentioned one of the challenges. Of course, you just talked about one of the challenges. What are some of the other challenges, still hindering the success of off-grid solutions, especially solar, for example? I mean, last week we asked people on the show here that, look, why are you not using solar? I had to put it out there. Why? Give me a reason, genuinely, between you and I. Why are you not using solar? You're spending so much on diesel, you're spending so much to get fuel. The national grid you are hoping is prayer. You get to hope to get light, and then you're spending it for those business owners. You're spending a whole lot. So why are you not using the alternative or a solution that is even cost effective, it's safe, it's clean, and all that? People give different reasons. But why do you think, we still have this challenge, especially what's stopping people from using other solutions like solar?
I think the major stop blocker would be cost.
Okay.
So I mean, let's leave. If you everybody could dream up various reasons, but underlining is the issue of cost. And I feel when you want to purchase the solar systems, it might be cost daunting at first, but typically as Nigerians, we rarely play the long game. I mean, it's a mindset thing.
Now.
You get it now.
I want it to happen now.
You get it.
It should happen now.
Yeah, and when you look at it, I look at it and say, I don't want to spend 1.5 million naira to get a solar system. How much am I buying for it? Forgetting that that fuel, when you calculate it per day, I mean, you spend way more than that in a year.
That's right.
So I think maybe away from trying to create problems and delving into solutions, because I'm more of I'm pro solution.
Yeah.
I think if those playing in the solar space could have a system where you could have pay small.
Yeah.
Do you get we do a debit at source. Maybe it's just that those that are not in the salary structure might have a problem of trying to say, can we afford? Would we be able to pay? I mean, we can't. If you are doing that system of pay small, you suffer the risk of this person not paying at the next date. But if you are deducting at source, it's civil servant now, for instance, you say, okay, we are deducting this money for a period of 2 years. We take it small. You can have it now. You will see that there won't be much problem. Or when you say, okay, you know what, we'll lease our system to you, just pay us so amount every month.
I think that is already happening.
The number of people,
the number of companies have been doing that. We talk with them every week on the show.
But maybe we should do more. They should have more of that.
Maybe more of that.
Maybe lack of awareness. People are not. Maybe
even on the part of payment. I know we signed an investment deal with Infi branches that has enabled access to payment recently.
Pay small.
Pay small too, and that is going on. But maybe that needs to happen more.
Yes,
that needs to happen more. That can accommodate more of these systems of people. So the cost seems to be the major problem.
Two things that you mentioned. One of them you mentioned costs, but the bigger one I think is the mindset. The way we're wired. I think an average person would rather, instead of buying the big Sarge, a big cup, or if you like, what's the word, of milk, for example, you rather have small sachet buy every day, because you feel like you're not spending too much.
But when you add all the money you have spent to buy that small
it's a whole mindset thing, and I agree with you that needs to change. That needs to be addressed even before we talk about the cost itself and paying small I totally agree with you. If you're just joining us, we are 7 minutes away from saying bye-bye, and it's been a heated, interesting conversation today on Power Solutions. Of course, is brought to you in partnership with All On. And I have as my co-host today, Wisdom Chap Jumbo, the man from the South. Joining me on the show today, he is the communications officer of All On. Also, our guest is a lawyer. Of course, you understand why it's heated. Hussein O. Tijani, principal partner at the HOT, legal practitioner, legal advisor for EventHive.ng, organizers of the Power Outlook. We've talked about the Power Outlook 2022, which happened in April. We've talked about all of these. We also got into the challenges stopping people from buying or getting into renewables, buying solar. And we just stopped there for a moment. And we'll be wrapping up in just a moment. I think Wisdom has got the next question.
Yes, great. Thanks. We are time is fast spent already, but I have this question. Now the issue of power. Someone told me over the weekend he spent over 70,000 naira a week for power, and this conversation keep going. Many people spend so much money. That's why we are preaching alternative source, and that's why this show is here to teach people every week about alternative source solar and what we need to do. But now this conversation around states generating their own grid power, and we know the National Assembly is already thinking in this area that maybe we should give states the power to generate their own grid power themselves, and many say that would be the game changer. Do you agree with this, or what do you think about this? Will this solve one of the biggest? Look at Lagos, and Lagos is working already in that area. Lagos is working on the policy.
I heard it's turning on you on that question.
So if states begin to generate their own power, are we going to start solving this problem?
Oh my.
Well, in actual sense, I'll be frank with you, I doubt that will solve it. I doubt, my doubt is founded on the fact that if states start generating their own power, aside from the issues that might arise with the current model, the TCN, are we going to say that we're going to have state-owned transmission companies? There's the Nigerian Bulk Trading Company. Are we going to have that for the states also too? Aside from the fact that, you see, with power, I feel when you have a head, if the head of that state now does not necessarily align or is not really engraved in the nitty-gritties of power, we'll have a problem where you've willed everything up until a particular person, and that person may or may not deliver on it. I think and one other challenge I see with states running it and the same problem that we see with the federal government running it is that it is not a revenue. They're not operating like a private company. I mean, for a private company, if you want to increase your profits, you must also ensure that your results there's value. There's value for money. But now look at this in the sense of the Yoruba will say Ogata. What does that mean? So basically what it means is whether or not the power, if the grid comes to the states or states with federal government, whether or not salaries will be paid. Whether you work or deliver or not, salaries will be paid. I mean, if you operate a truly private system based, you know that if you do not work, there will be income. If there's no income, you can't get paid.
That's right.
And without you having income, you can't expand, you can't improve. Do you understand? So the key thing is, on board with this thing, national grid is a fallacy. It can never happen. Since 2013 till date, no disco has declared profits. Wow. I mean, it took, as of 2020, CBN had to escrow the accounts of discos.
Wow. Man, we
need to bring you back.
we certainly have to be back and have this conversation. I mean, it's very interesting. I'm loving the direction of the conversation because we're hitting the nail in the head, and I love it. So to better explain that, so what he said in Yoruba. So I remember that we're wrapping up with that when I was at the FRCN. So then, when any of us would say we want to go into the private sector, we want to try other places, people will be like, you don't know the private sector now. If the station is not making money, they won't pay you. They won't get paid. But here it's federal government. Whether our station is making money or not, you are getting paid.
And I think that is exactly running our government.
Absolutely. That is why people get paid for doing nothing. And just to better explain it, man, it's been a very interesting conversation, Tijani. We'll certainly have you back again.
We need to have you back.
And how can anyone connect with you on social media, or how can they, get to find out more about especially Power Outlook?
And what is next for next year?
What's next?
Next year, Power Outlook, Nigerian Power Outlook next year. What should we expect?
We'll be expecting more conversations around this.
Yeah.
You get so we are gradually shifting towards solution oriented. Do you get?
Okay.
So when we have discussions like this, it sort of enlightens the mind. You know,
Is there a communicate to maybe government or regulators on all the conversations after the
I mean,
program?
after every event, we always have post-event reports.
Okay.
So it's always available. And so far, in all our programs on events, we've always had people from the government also coming to the table.
So I love that communicates idea that you mentioned. It's very important because you could actually, our time is fast spent. You could actually have every stakeholder come and say, "This is what we want to do." You all sign, agree, and send to the guys who will make it happen. Right? Thank you very much for
Thank
coming.
you.
That's it for the show. God bless you. God bless everyone. Bye for now. News coming up now.
Thank you.
For personal, religious, whatever reasons, who do not want to take a
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.